hardly think it would be much use in this situation.
Hello and welcome to Ravenclaw's Retreat. In this video, I will present and then provide evidence for a hypothesis, and then leave you to draw your own conclusion. Let's not waste any time and get right to it. The Weasley twins inherited their mischievous ways from their mother, Molly Weasley. Many who have even casually read the Harry Potter series will no doubt already be screaming at their screen, telling me I'm an idiot. But I ask you to keep an open mind and evaluate the evidence and arguments I will present. A surface reading of the text makes this hypothesis seem frankly laughable. The thing we see Molly Weasley do more than any other is chastise Fred or George for their latest bit of nonsense. Meanwhile, Arthur Weasley seems to mostly enjoy their antics, and in his own words, you're talking to the man who raised Fred and George. Many would argue that J.K. Rowling put these words in his mouth as an admission of guilt, that they learned it from him, and even I read it that way for years myself. So what made me rethink the seemingly obvious notion that the twins inherited their lawless ways from Arthur, and instead came to believe that it was actually inherited from their mother? Mostly, the text of the novels portrays Molly Weasley as the world's greatest mum. The kind of mum everyone wishes they had. She's firm but fair, a shoulder to cry on, your fiercest defender. She knows her children better than they know themselves. Whenever we see her, she is bustling about, solving 3 problems at once, but always has time for everyone. The only time we see her really struggle is when she has to escort 7 children to King's Cross in muggle taxis. She is a hyper-competent character who raises 7 children that all go on to be notable members of the magical community in their own right. Contrary to this portrayal of a hyper-competent woman who always seems to be on top of everything that we actually meet in the Chamber of Secrets and get to know very well over the course of the series, we get a very different picture of her from the text of the Philosopher's Stone. Apart from the short scenes at King's Cross, Molly's presence is mostly felt through the reactions of her sons. Ron opens his sandwich on the train and remarks that he hates corned beef, and that his mother always gives it to him. He excuses this by telling Harry that she doesn't have much time with 5 children living at home. At Christmas, Ron opens his presents to find a maroon jumper. He hates maroon, and he offers no excuse this time around. And this joke about him hating maroon and his mother giving him maroon things is repeated several times through the series. Hopefully, you are already more open to the hypothesis when these 2 very different portrayals of Molly Weasley are directly contrasted. It becomes obvious that something doesn't fit. There are 2 possibilities for these inconsistencies. A, bad writing, or B, great writing. J.K. Rowling is far too meticulous a writer for this to have happened by accident. She expertly used a single line of dialogue in The Order of the Phoenix that we were supposed to think was about James Potter, but was in fact about Severus Snape to foreshadow the prince's tale 2 books later. There simply is no reason to think she would write a character so inconsistently. If these inconsistencies only occurred in the first book before she really got to grips with Molly's character, then I would dismiss it as a small piece of inconsistent writing from a first-time author. But these kind of things continue to happen throughout the entire series. I have come to the conclusion that Molly pranks her children constantly, Ron in particular, without them even realising it. The sandwiches, the maroon jumper, these are just the tip of the iceberg. The twins remark that she obviously makes more of an effort if you're not family, upon seeing Harry's jumper in the Philosopher's Stone, proving she can knit a good jumper if she wanted. All of the Weasleys think the jumpers are horrible, but wear them anyway to please their mum, except the twins, who think they're horrible but hilarious. We see Molly perform all manner of complex household magic. Hell, she kills the 2nd most powerful baddie in the series like it's nothing, but she can't magically knit a good jumper? Putting aside the sandwiches and jumpers for a moment, Molly always seems to be one step ahead of the twins, ferreting out their plan to sneak some of their merchandise out of the house to the Quidditch World Cup with ease. And where did the idea of blowing up a toilet come from? We know very little of Molly Weasley before she became the mother we know and love. The only information we are privy to is her own memories of attending Hogwarts that she shares before the third Triwizard task. She mentions sneaking out for a romantic walk, a euphemism if I ever heard one, with Arthur. She notes that Arthur still has scars from the punishment he received upon being caught, and seems to be amused by it. She doesn't mention being punished herself. We can only speculate what a teenage Molly Pruitt was like at school, but from the one detail we are given, she clearly didn't have great regard for rules, much like Arthur and their children. If you begin to view the aforementioned instances of Molly's seeming lack of thought due to the stress and time constraints of raising 7 children, as a mother releasing her mischievous energies upon the very people who cause her stress, things suddenly start to make a lot more sense. One of my favourite moments in the entire series is Ron's reaction to his second-hand dress robes. As with the other instances, the robes are explained away as the result of poverty, a lack of options. But that fails to explain why a mother who was perfectly capable of altering the garment in a matter of seconds would give her son robes that she knows full well he would be roasted for wearing by his fellow students. The answer seems simple. It's a prank. Molly finds the whole thing highly amusing, despite her professed anger at Ron's rejection of the garment. How could this mother, who loves her children more than anything, present her own son with ugly, frilly robes, meanwhile having bought beautiful, elegant robes for his best friend, and not expect the reaction she got? So we have the sandwiches, the jumpers, the dress robes. I've not even mentioned the denoming, the howler, the stamps on the letters to the Dursleys, or the tiny Easter egg. From the instances we see on the page, I think it's fairly reasonable to conclude that, with the possible exception of the twins, Molly Weasley has been pranking her children their entire lives without them ever realising, and is the source of the twins' mischievous tendencies. This is just a hypothesis, of course. Without asking the author herself, we should never truly know, but I think this idea best solves the inconsistencies in Molly's portrayal. What do you think? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the YouTube stuff, like, share and subscribe, and I will see you next time.